Alright, so we need to talk about the age gap problem in kid cartoons. It's the elephant in the room that no one wants to talk about. Believe it or not, there are a lot of cartoons out there with huge age gap differences. Take for instance a cartoon called The Loud House, where a character on the show, Clyde, age 11, has a huge crush on another character called Lori Loud, age 17.
Clyde, you know what you're standing under, don't you? Merry Christmas, Clyde.
In fact, the show wastes no time to introduce this fact in the very first episode.
Hey, beautiful. You take these stairs often?
I will now. Handsome.
We see Clyde's infatuation with the main character's older sister. Anything that Lori touches, he decides to rub all over his face passionately. And whenever he has the opportunity to meet this character, he loses his cool and bleeds from his nose. A common anime trope alluding to perversion. Now this would make sense in the context of an anime where the characters are adults, but when you put kids into the equation who haven't even gone through puberty yet, one has to question the oddness of the situation. Thankfully in the cartoon, Lori has a boyfriend named Bobby who is around her age, and for now she shows zero interest in Clyde. The show tries to play off this dynamic by using comedy. But what they fail to realize is that comedy is subjective. So one person could be looking at some of these clips and not laughing, thus destroying that aspect they were hoping to lessen the blow of that weird situation that's going on in front of our television.
I can't believe these were touched by Lori's beautiful tootsies.
Snap out of it, Clyde!
Now some of you at home may be wondering, well that's not a big deal. They're not dating each other. He just has a silly crush on an older person. Big whoop, Kalobi. What's the big deal? Well, things are about to get a lot worse. It's one thing to have a younger person have a crush on someone who's older than them. But what would happen if the older person begins to have feelings for someone that's underage? In the episode titled Change of Heart, Season 2, Episode 18, Lori Loud is fed up with Clyde's shenanigans. He kept messing up her shoes and she got tired of it. However, Clyde also has a change of heart. He wants to stop messing everything up and losing his cool every time he's around Lori. So he goes to another sister on the cartoon called Lenny for advice. However, it seems that Clyde is into Lenny. Not literally, but that's the way it looks like to Lori. So what does Lori Loud do? She gets jealous.
I thought Clyde only acted like an awkward robot around me.
Now remember, Lori Loud is 17 years old. But the moment that an 11-year-old loses his crush on her, she can't have that. She goes crazy in this episode. She wants to win back his love.
This has been totes fun. You're such a great guy, Clyde.
Thanks, Lenny. And may I say, you never look more beautiful.
Oh, Clyde.
That does it.
She is jealous that her sister Lenny is getting all the attention from Clyde, which she mistakenly assumes. She thinks that Clyde is in love with Lenny instead of her, which she cannot handle. This is getting pretty wild. Now, just as you thought this couldn't get any worse, she goes out of her way to spend money on gifts and items to wow this 11-year-old.
Clyde can ignore the lemonade and the scarf, but this limited edition Ace-Savvy comic will definitely do the trick.
This is weird. This is weird. Why is she buying gifts for an 11-year-old? Now remember, context always matters in situations. In this context, it's a no bueno. Now, in a different world, if she was just simply buying a child a gift for Christmas without the context of romance in it, that would be fine. I'm not knocking the age. In fact, it doesn't even matter in regard to buying someone a gift. However, when you're trying to win over the attention and love of an 11-year-old when you're 17 years old, one has to question what's really going on here. In the end, things get cleared up, but the damage is already done. My personal opinion on this is that the Loud House handled this pretty poorly. Look, up until this episode, they were doing a pretty decent job. It was comedic, it was just for laughs. Lori wasn't actually interested in the dude. But now, I don't know if I can make that argument anymore.
You're a special guy, Clyde, and literally anyone would be lucky to be your crush.
There's no way you're gonna convince me that a grown woman who's about to be an adult next year is trying to impress an 11-year-old and that's supposed to be normal. Look, When I was younger, I also had a situation with a friend of mine where we were the same age as Clyde, and we also had a crush on a woman who was 17. But she accepted all our love, just like Lori, all the kisses and cuddles and snuggles. Nothing happened beyond that. Don't clip this. Nothing happened beyond that. But what I'm saying is, this is probably normal. You know, having a crush on someone is normal, okay? Everyone has it at a younger age. However, when the older individual acts on those crushes, it can get kind of wild. Now that I'm older and looking back at the cartoon and my own life, I think that people like Lori are seeking validation. They are seeking the validation of the crush, not necessarily the romance itself, but the actual feeling of being wanted. See, when Clyde broke that rapport with her, she mistakenly felt empty. She felt like she lost something that day, even though she wasn't dating him to begin with. And maybe this is an explanation of the episode where the writers of the Loud House were so intelligent that they decided to write this in for kids and parents to watch. I don't know. Next up on the list is gonna shock you. It comes from Avatar: The Last Airbender, and it deals with Aang and Katara. When you think about it, Aang is not as young as he looks. Actually, he's not a 12-year-old kid. He's 112 years old, biologically.
Aang, what are you saying?
I'm saying, I love you.
What the hell? Oh my God, no way, yeah.
And Katara is only 14 years old. So this is very strange. However, I'm gonna move on from this point because this is pointless in the show. We all know the situation with Aang being frozen, etc. I'm not gonna waste time on this. Let's go ahead and move on. Gravity Falls. Dipper and Wendy. This was a very interesting dynamic. The main character, Dipper, had a crush on Wendy, Dipper Pines being 12 years old and Wendy being 15. Now this age gap isn't as big as the Loud House, however, we still need to get into this. There is something that Gravity Falls did differently that the Loud House completely forgot to do. Now before we get on to that point, I actually thought that Wendy was a lot older the first time I saw her without context. When I saw the height difference between Wendy and Dipper, I thought she was probably 17, 18, and I thought Dipper was, 12, which he is. But Wendy's only 15 and Dipper is 12. They're not that far apart. In fact, I don't even know if this would be considered that bad depending on which angle you're looking at. Now for me personally, I don't even think kids should be dating at that age. Even though I wanted to date at that age, a lot of people want to date at that age, a lot of people want to experience things at that age, I still think it's kind of a bad idea to be seriously dating that young. But that's besides the point. I actually think that Gravity Falls handled this situation with some class, unlike the Loud House. Check this out. Wendy and Dipper actually have a chill relationship. The writers aren't just using comedy every 5 seconds to distract you from the weirdness. No, these two are actually friends. However, her boyfriend is not so chill with their relationship, threatening to beat the hell out of Dipper Pines. But these episodes are just the icing on the cake. The real meat and potato comes in the later episodes, where the love of Dipper to Wendy is blatantly stated.
I never even got a chance to tell you I'm like in love with you, Wendy.
And she overhears this. So the two are forced to sit down to hash this thing out. Oh man, it's about to get heated and I am here for it.
Look, Wendy, about earlier. In the heat of the moment, I might have said some dumb things, and can't we just pretend none of that ever happened?
Wendy says something phenomenal. She states that she is too old for Dipper Pines.
Dipper, I'm like super flattered, but I'm too old for you.
She rejects the offer politely. However, she does appreciate their friendship deeply, and the two continue to be cool afterwards. Now I have a question. Once these two get past the age of 18, let's say they're in their mid-20s, mid-30s, would this 3-year age gap be that big of a deal? Is it even a big deal now? It's a difficult question. Regardless of the answer to that question, Gravity Falls still handled this situation way better than the Loud House, dude. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. There's a bunch of other cartoons with a bunch of age gaps, but unfortunately I don't have time to get into it today. So if you want to watch me make a part 2 of this video, go ahead and subscribe or just leave a like. Thanks, have a great rest of your day.